The silent exodus. The monitoring station orbiting Proxima Centauri registered the anomaly first. Commander Velk adjusted his sensory appendages, certain the instruments were malfunctioning. The readings from the Sol system showed energy signatures that defied every known law of physics. Waves of gravitational distortion rippled outward like stones thrown into cosmic waters. Then between one heartbeat and the next, Earth simply ceased to exist. Where the blue-green world had spun for billions of years, only emptiness remained. Not debris, not radiation, not even the faintest trace of matter. The planet had vanished as completely as if it had never existed at all. Mars continued its lonely orbit, and Jupiter's moons danced their eternal ballet, but the third planet from the Sun had become nothing more than a gap in space. News traveled faster than light through the quantum communication networks. The Galactic Coalition assembled within hours, representatives from 17 major civilizations gathering in the Great Hall of Centrum Station. The Arcturians arrived first, their crystalline forms resonating with concern. The Zephyrians floated in their atmospheric bubbles, tentacles writhing in agitation. Even the ancient keepers, who rarely involved themselves in galactic affairs, sent an observer. "This is unprecedented," declared High Chancellor Morvac of the Denebrian Empire, his four arms gesturing expressively. 8 billion sentient beings do not simply vanish. We must investigate immediately. The first reconnaissance fleets arrived at Sol within days. They found exactly what the long-range sensors had shown: nothing. Every probe, every scan, every attempt to detect even quantum traces came back empty. Earth had not been destroyed. Destruction left evidence. It had been removed from existence itself, torn from the fabric of reality without leaving so much as a thread behind. The human colonies scattered across 17 worlds suddenly found themselves orphaned. Mars Base Alpha, with its 30,000 residents, became the largest concentration of humanity in existence. The mining stations in the asteroid belt, the research outposts on Europa, the fledgling settlements on distant exoplanets, altogether, fewer than 2 million humans remained in the entire galaxy. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the coalition, representing what was left of humanity. Her voice remained steady despite the tears streaming down her face. "We request assistance in maintaining our colonies and searching for our homeworld. Earth may be gone, but humanity endures." The response was mixed. The Vorthan Confederacy, long suspicious of humanity's rapid technological advancement, suggested this was the result of human recklessness. They tampered with forces beyond their comprehension, Senator Krex insisted, his scaled hide shifting colors with emotion. This catastrophe was of their own making. Others showed more compassion. The Etherian Collective offered sanctuary on their paradise worlds. The machine intelligence of the Binary Accord provided computational resources to search for Earth across dimensions. But as months turned to years, hope faded like dying stars. The galactic economy adapted with ruthless efficiency. Trade routes that had connected to Sol were redrawn. The valuable resources Earth had provided, its unique biodiversity, its cultural exports, its innovative technologies, became finite commodities. Human art and literature commanded astronomical prices as collectors realized no more would ever be created from the source. The remaining humans faced difficult choices. Some accepted citizenship in alien empires, abandoning their human identity for security and belonging. Others clung fiercely to their heritage, establishing new Terran enclaves wherever they could. Marcus Rodriguez, formerly a cargo pilot, became the unofficial leader of the largest human refugee camp on Kepler Station. "We will not forget," he told the gathered humans during their first anniversary memorial. "We will not let Earth's memory fade into myth. Our children will know their heritage, even if they never see the world that birthed us." But the galaxy moved forward, as it always did. New crises emerged, new alliances formed, new wars threatened. The mystery of Earth's disappearance became an academic curiosity, studied by scientists but irrelevant to daily life. Trade consortiums divided Earth's former territories. The Altarian hegemony claimed mining rights to the asteroid belt. The Celestial Syndicate established bases on Mars, displacing the human colonists to crowded refugee sectors. A century passed. The generation that remembered Earth grew old and died. Their children, raised on alien worlds under foreign suns, knew their heritage only through stories and archived images. The few remaining human schools taught Earth history as ancient lore, alongside myths and legends. Young humans learned alien languages more fluently than their ancestral tongues. Director Yuki Tanaka maintained the last Earth archive on Station Omega-7. She spent her days cataloging memories, preserving videos, maintaining the cultural database that held everything from Shakespeare to K-pop. From the pyramids to quantum physics, visitors were rare. Even humans seldom came anymore, too busy surviving in a galaxy that had moved past them. The Galactic Coalition reclassified humanity from emerging species to displaced minority. The protections afforded to developing civilizations no longer applied. Human refugees competed for the same resources as any other stateless population. Some thrived through adaptation and determination. Many more struggled in poverty, their advanced education meaningless without the infrastructure of their lost world. 500 years after the disappearance, Earth had become legend. The younger species, those who achieved spaceflight after humanity's loss, questioned whether the stories were true. Had there really been a world where primates developed consciousness? Where creatures of flesh and blood reached for the stars with nothing but chemical rockets and determination? It seemed impossible, the kind of tale told to inspire or warn, depending on the storyteller's intent. The ancient archive maintained the official record, its quantum-locked memories preserving the truth. But truth and belief were different things. Earth became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, a mystery that spawned countless theories, a ghost story told in the dark corners of space stations. Some claimed Earth had ascended to a higher dimension, its people evolving beyond physical form. Others insisted it had been destroyed by a weapon so powerful it erased the very memory of matter. The conspiracy theorists suggested Earth had never existed at all, that humans were artificial constructs, an experiment gone wrong. As the millennium marker approached, only a handful of human communities maintained their distinct identity. New Terra, a small colony on the edge of Coalition space, housed 8,000 humans who still celebrated Earth holidays, still taught Earth languages, still dreamed of home. Their leader, descendant of the original colonists, was a woman named Elena Okonkwo, who had never seen Earth except in archived recordings. "We are the children of a lost world," she said during the 999th anniversary of the disappearance. "But we are not lost ourselves. Earth lives in our DNA, in our dreams, in our determination to survive. The galaxy may have forgotten, but we remember. We will always remember." The galaxy spun on, indifferent to memory or loss. Stars were born and died. Civilizations rose and fell. The empty space where Earth had been became a navigation hazard, marked on stellar charts with warnings about gravitational anomalies. Pilots learned to avoid the Sol system entirely. It was cursed, they said, haunted by the ghosts of 8 billion souls. Then, on an unremarkable day by any calendar that mattered, exactly 1,000 years after the disappearance, space itself began to sing. Part 2. The Awakening Empire Captain. Zara Okonkwo was running routine patrol along the edge of Sol system when her instruments went insane. She was Elena Okonkwo's granddaughter, third generation born away from Earth, piloting a salvaged Krellian fighter held together by determination and prayer. The proximity alarm screamed as space itself seemed to fold inward, reality bending like heated metal. "Control, I'm reading massive gravitational flux at Sol 3 coordinates," she transmitted, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Something's happening. Something big." Before station control could respond, Earth materialized. Not gradually, not partially, but instantly and completely. One moment empty space, the next a planet. But this was not the Earth from historical records. This world pulsed with energy, wrapped in shells of light that spiraled like DNA helixes into space. Massive structures orbited at impossible angles, defying physics as the galaxy understood it. Cities of pure energy covered continents, visible from space as networks of brilliant connection. Every monitoring station in 3 sectors registered the event. Within minutes, alerts reached the Galactic Coalition. Within hours, war fleets from 7 major powers converged on Sol. The hegemony arrived first, their battlecruiser Dominion leading an armada of 300 vessels. Admiral Thex broadcast on all frequencies. "Unidentified world, you have materialized in hegemony-claimed space. Surrender immediately or face." The transmission ended. Not interrupted, not jammed, simply ended. The Dominion hung motionless, every system frozen except life support. The entire hegemony fleet drifted like toys abandoned by a giant child. Then gently they were pushed back to the system's edge by invisible hands. A message appeared simultaneously on every screen, every neural interface, every quantum communicator in the galaxy. The voice was human, but layered with harmonics that made even artificial intelligences pause to process. "Hello, neighbors. We apologize for our absence." The speaker materialized in the Coalition Hall without warning. No transportation beam, no dimensional gateway, simply present where she had not been before. She appeared human, wearing a simple white garment that seemed woven from starlight itself. Her eyes held depths that suggested she had seen the birth and death of universes. "I am Ambassador Keiko Nakamura," she said, bowing slightly. "I speak for Earth. We have returned." High Chancellor Morvac, despite his 1,000 years of diplomatic experience, struggled to find words. "Where? How? What happened to your world?" Nakamura smiled, an expression both human and transcendent. "We fell sideways through time. An experiment with quantum tunneling went wrong, or perhaps right, depending on perspective. Earth was pulled into a parallel dimension, existing alongside your reality but unable to interact. We could observe but not touch, listen but not speak. For 1,000 years? The Keeper representative spoke, its ancient voice resonating with curiosity. "For 1,000 years," Nakamura confirmed. 8 billion humans isolated completely with only one goal: return home. Necessity became innovation. Innovation became evolution. Evolution became transformation. The coalition members exchanged glances of fear and wonder. Senator Krex, his scales pale with anxiety, demanded, "Transformation into what?" "Into what we were always meant to become." Nakamura gestured, and the air shimmered. Images appeared, not projections, but memories made visible. Earth was called a death world because life there was harsh. We evolved through struggle, survived through cooperation, thrived through innovation. When we were pulled into isolation, we had no external enemies, no alien threats, no distractions, only the challenge of return. The images showed the first decades of panic and despair, then organization, then breakthrough after breakthrough. Humans merging consciousness with quantum computers, cities rebuilding themselves at the molecular level, children born who could perceive 11 dimensions, technologies that harvested energy from the space between atoms. "We studied your civilization through the dimensional barrier," Nakamura continued. "Watched our colonies struggle and scatter. Witnessed the galaxy divide our legacy. We learned patience and wisdom to match our power." "What do you want?" Chancellor Morvac asked directly. "Recognition of sovereignty. Return of our colonies who wish to come home, and trade." Nakamura produced a small sphere that floated above her palm, containing swirling galaxies of light, medical technology that reverses aging, energy sources that could power civilizations for millennia, transportation that makes distance irrelevant. "We offer these freely, asking only for peaceful coexistence." The Vorthan representative laughed harshly. "You expect us to believe you want nothing more? With such power you could conquer the galaxy." "We could," Nakamura agreed simply. "We choose not to. Earth's children learned something in our isolation. True strength is not domination but elevation. We return not as conquerors but as neighbors who happen to have advanced a few steps ahead." To demonstrate, she gestured toward the frozen hegemony fleet. Instantly, their systems restored, but their weapons had been transformed. Where plasma cannons had been, gardens now grew. Missile bays had become habitats. The Dominion's primary weapon array had been replaced with a medical facility capable of treating thousands. "Your weapons are now tools of life," Nakamura explained. "They can be changed back if you wish, but we hope you'll try them as they are first." Captain Zara Okonkwo found herself transported to Earth's surface without transition. She stood in a city that defied description, buildings that were living things, streets that adjusted to foot traffic, air that tasted of honey and starlight. Humans walked past, but they were more than human. They glowed with inner light, moved with perfect grace, spoke in harmonics that conveyed meaning beyond words. A young girl approached, looking perhaps 10 years old but with ancient eyes. "You're one of the lost ones," she said gently. "The children who grew up without Earth. Would you like to see your grandmother's birthplace?" Zara nodded, unable to speak. The girl took her hand, and suddenly they stood in Lagos, Nigeria. But this Lagos was a fusion of history and transcendence. Ancient buildings preserved in quantum stasis stood beside structures of pure thought. The market sold both traditional food and condensed starlight. People of every Earth ethnicity mingled, Their differences celebrated, their unity absolute. We preserved everything, the girl explained. Every culture, every language, every tradition. But we also evolved them. Your grandmother's recipes exist both as she knew them and as symphonies of molecular gastronomy. Nothing was lost. Everything was transformed. Across Earth, similar scenes played out. The 2 million scattered humans were invited home, each greeted personally, each shown what humanity had become. Some wept with joy, others stood in shocked silence. All were given the choice: remain as they were or join the transformation. Marcus Rodriguez, now ancient by standard human measure, stood in what had been New York. The city reached into space, towers of light connecting ground to orbit. His guide, a man who introduced himself as Marcus's great-great-grandnephew somehow, explained the process. We can restore your youth, expand your consciousness, grant you abilities you've dreamed of. Or you can remain exactly as you are, living among us unchanged. There is no wrong choice. What's the catch? Marcus asked, a lifetime of struggle making him suspicious. The catch is choice itself. Power without wisdom is destruction. We offer both, but you must choose to accept them. The Galactic Coalition reconvened in emergency session. Earth's return had shifted every political, economic, and military calculation. Species that had claimed human territories found those claims evaporating. Trade routes optimized for Earth's absence needed complete restructuring. Most significantly, humanity had returned as the galaxy's most advanced species. Ambassador Nakamura addressed the assembly with patience and grace. We propose a simple framework. Earth resumes its place in the galaxy. Our colonies are returned to those who wish it. Trade proceeds on equal terms. We will share our advances gradually, allowing each species to adapt at their own pace. We ask nothing except peace. And if we refuse, the hegemony representative, Admiral Thex, had been recalled and replaced after his fleet's transformation. Then you refuse, Nakamura replied simply. We will not force anything upon you. Earth will exist, will trade with willing partners, will welcome any who come in peace. Those who choose isolation from us will be respected in that choice. Some species immediately embraced Earth's return. The Etherian collective, always seekers of transcendence, requested cultural exchange. The binary accord sought technological partnership. The ancient keepers simply observed, as was their way, but with interest they had not shown in millennia. Others resisted. The Vorthon Confederacy declared Earth a threat to galactic stability. The hegemony demanded weapons parity before any negotiations. 3 minor species fled to the galaxy's edge. Convinced humanity would enslave them all, Earth responded to each according to their nature. Partners received gifts that advanced their civilizations by centuries. Neutrals were left alone, free to make their own choices. Those who showed hostility found their aggressive actions simply ineffective. Weapons fired at Earthships passed through them harmlessly. Invasion fleets discovered their navigation systems only led them home. Director Yuki Tanaka, preserved through the centuries by alien medical technology, was brought to Earth to see her archives integrated into the planetary consciousness. Every piece of human culture she had saved was absorbed, celebrated, and evolved. She wept as she watched Shakespeare performed in 11 dimensions, heard Beethoven's symphonies that touched quantum strings, saw ancient Earth recipes recreated with molecular perfection. You saved us, Ambassador Nakamura told her. You preserved who we were, allowing us to remember as we became who we are. The transformation of the galaxy proceeded slowly, carefully. Earth's children who returned brought with them alien perspectives that enriched human culture further. Species that traded with Earth discovered their own potentials unlocked. Wars ended not through force but through the realization that conflict was obsolete when resources were infinite. Some humans chose to remain unchanged, living on Earth in communities that preserved pre-disappearance life. They were honored as living museums, keepers of the before time. Their children could choose transformation when they came of age, or remain as their parents were. Both choices were celebrated. Captain Zara Okonkwo stood on the observation deck of Earth's primary orbital station, a structure that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. Below, Earth turned in its ancient rhythm, blue and green and white, familiar yet transformed. Ships from 100 species came and went, no longer conquerors or refugees but visitors and partners. Do you regret it? Her companion asked. She had chosen partial transformation, keeping her human form but accepting enhancements that let her perceive the universe as Earth's children now did. regret what? Zara asked. That your family spent 1,000 years away, that you grew up without this. Zara considered, watching a whale made of living light breach through Earth's atmosphere, singing in frequencies that painted aurora across the sky. Every path leads somewhere. Our 1,000 years of separation taught us both something. Earth learned to transcend. We learned to survive. Now we combine both lessons. Ambassador Nakamura stood before the Galactic Coalition 1 year after Earth's return. The assembly had changed. Former enemies sat together. Species that had never communicated now shared ideas. The galaxy was not united. It might never be. But it was no longer divided by fear and scarcity. We disappeared as one thing and returned as another, she said. But the essence remains. Humanity's gift was never our technology or our resources. It was our stubborn refusal to accept limitations. We fell sideways through time and decided to make it an opportunity. We found ourselves alone and chose to become more. We returned to find our children scattered and chose to gather them with open arms. She paused, looking at each representative in turn. The galaxy asks what humanity wants. The answer is simple. We want what we always wanted: to explore, to grow, to connect, to become. The only difference is now we can help you do the same. High Chancellor Morvac stood, his forearms spread in a gesture of acceptance. The Galactic Coalition formally recognizes Earth's sovereignty and welcomes humanity's return. May this 1,000-year circle lead to 1,000,000 years of progress. The vote was unanimous, even from former opponents. Earth had returned not with conquest but with transcendence, not with vengeance but with gifts. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in 1,000 years that was cause for hope rather than fear. As Earth settled back into its orbit, its children spread once more among the stars. But this time, they went not as refugees or conquerors, but as bridges between what was and what could be. The 1,000-year disappearance had ended. The 1,000,000-year transformation had just begun.